Hey guys, this is Tiffany with the Nerdettes and Black Mirror. I've been waiting for new Black Mirror for, ever since the last little bit that they released with season 4, with, Hang the DJ and Metalhead and Black Museum and all those. And now we finally have a new episode, Bandersnatch. And let me just tell you, holy hell, this episode is crazy. So, first of all, I grew up with create your own adventure stories like R.L. Stine, with Goosebumps. I actually came out with quite a few. In the 90s, they were super, super popular. I'm sure late 80s, early 90s, it was a big thing. So books that were kind of where you could pick your own adventure. But in those books, I would cheat. I would flip it would have those two paths, and it would be flip to page 37. I would flip to page 37 and be skim this page, I don't like this, and flip to the other page, and I was like, okay, this one sounds better. So, and there would be, I remember this one, he was trapped in a dungeon, and there were so many dead ends where he would die, where it would just end the book, and you were at your dead end. So, I didn't like that. I always liked to follow that path to the full ending. So with this episode, it's weird. It's not like anything that Netflix has ever done, because you know how it has that button that says, are you still watching? It's kind of like that, but it's at the bottom of the screen. So before the episode came out, I did research on the Bandersnatch, and a Bandersnatch is actually from Alice in Wonderland's that story, and it's got it's supposed to be some sort of a creature with an elongated jaw, think like a crocodile, with it's very fast, it's very stealthy, and it's supposed to be it eats, other creatures, and so it's supposed to be like a predator. So I went into this episode thinking, okay, this is going to be about a monster, some sort of a monster horror, and you have to choose turn left or right, to go into a maze. No, it's not like that. So the premise of the game is that Bandersnatch is a game, and so the main character, you kind of have to choose his path from the very get-go. So you choose what he eats for breakfast. He wakes up, during the morning, and you have to choose: is he going to eat Frosted Flakes, or is he going to eat some sort of sugar puffs, I think it is. And so you choose, and then he goes on about his day, and it doesn't seem to, at first it's very simple decisions, and then he gets on the bus, you choose, okay, is he going to listen to, now that's what I call music on cassette tape, or is he going to listen to this other band, and you choose that. At first I chose Frosted Flakes because I'm a Frosted Flakes girl. I chose the Now 2 because I owned that in the 90s when it first came out. I bought Now 1, and I bought all the Now CDs because that was a thing back then. So I bought all those, I think up until Now 13. I bought quite a few of those. So then, he goes on his day. So he's been creating this game. You see that he lost his mother in a tragic accident, and he blames himself because, he was searching for his stuffed rabbit, could not find it anywhere. It wasn't under his bed where it typically is. So because of that delay, she didn't hit the 8:30 train. She had to wait and go to the 8:45 train, and that train ended up derailing, and she passed away. And of course he blames himself because he's like, oh, if I hadn't been worried about this bunny rabbit, she would have possibly lived, and wouldn't have had to go through that. And it's so heartbreaking because during that episode, or that part of the episode, there's only one choice you can make, which is no. So, like I said, this episode is not like any other. You cannot click forward or backward in the episode. It will not, after you choose something, you cannot go back at all. You have to restart the entire episode if you want to go back and make a different decision. But here's the cool thing, is if you make the wrong decision, it clearly lets you know. So, for example, I went through that episode, I think ended up being 3 different times, and found all the different paths for you guys so I can kind of talk about all of them. And of course you can choose your own path, but my path when I first went through, I didn't see everything, so I'm glad I went back and went through everything else. So like, so you get to the office. He's building this game. It kind of reminds me of Doom, where you go through this like pathway. He's a big fan of this writer, and that's kind of what it's based off of, is this book called Bandersnatch. But this guy got obsessed with like symbols and choices, and this lion figure that he himself has been seeing, and he started thinking that people were in control of his life, this author, and now he's thinking the same thing. And of course, at first, little does he know, yes, we do have control of his life, literally. So he gets into the office, and they're like, hey, we got a great idea. He meets this epic game creator, which is like this prodigy, Colin, and Colin has created Metalhead. Kudos to you, Black Mirror and Netflix, for like having an Easter egg, obvious Easter egg for the previous episode, Metalhead. He created that, and he's created this other game that's really popular, and everybody loves him, and he's like the prodigy. So and of course, he's played all of his games, so he's like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be really cool. And he ends up getting into this conference room. He shows them a little bit of the game, but he hasn't created all the divergent paths yet. So they're like, will you come here, work in the office? We'll set you up with a team. Colin will help you, because he's a prodigy and all this stuff. And I originally chose yes, which apparently is the wrong decision, and it lets you know pretty quickly, because you say yes, and all this bad shit happens. It like flash forwards to the game being released almost immediately, and it says, oh, this is 4 out of 5 stars, because obviously Colin created it. He's not getting any credit if you choose yes. Colin's getting all the credit, and basically, and he's just basically left like, okay, I guess this is what it is. So, but it makes you go back, and it gives you that choice again. So now, having known that Colin's going to get all the credit, of course you're going to pick no. So, and that's what this episode does. It makes you go back if you choose the wrong decision. So, in different ways, I found out. So that was the first time it made me go back, and I had to choose no. And that's apparently the best decision. And then, you get to this point where you can either go see the doctor, or you can follow Colin to his place. And so I first, which apparently, different rifts in time, I chose to go see the doctor. Why not, right? And, we had a therapy session about his mother. She wants to talk about his mom. And at first, she's like, open up to me. I know we've talked about it before, but maybe if we talk about it again, it'll remind you, or kind of refresh that, or make it less painful. So at first, I chose no, because I feel like you shouldn't force him to talk about something he obviously doesn't want to talk about. That's just me. Apparently, that was the wrong choice. So she's like, I'm going to ask you again. Do you want to talk about it? Okay, fine. I said yes. You talk about it, you hash it out, and so basically it runs through all these scenarios, and you're at your home, you're working on Bandersnatch game, you're on a tight deadline, and his dad comes in, he's like, have you eaten? He's tunnel vision. All he can think about is the game. So he's like, it builds and builds and builds, and so you can either, and I hated this decision, you can either basically throw tea on your computer, or you can yell at your dad. And in my brain, I'm like, okay, if I yell at his dad could, this domino effect could happen where he could go out and die like his mother did, and then he's going to go into this spiral that way. Or I can throw tea on his computer and destroy all of Bandersnatch that he has created. This is like a horrible decision. So basically it wants you to choose to yell at the dad. It really does, because I've chosen both. So, and we'll talk about going back here in just a moment. I just want to talk about the trajectory I chose first. So I ended up yelling at his dad, and he ends up, apologizing, and he's like, I'm not myself. And then they get down to the kitchen, and there's a point where you can, yet again, like every decision keeps escalating, and it's like you can either, basically tell the dad to back away as you're like arguing, or you can kill him. And of course, I'm like, back away. Everything is fine. We're not going to kill him. No. So I back away and all that stuff, and these are these decisions that I personally am making for him, and it's either A or B. There's no like one answer except for that one instance where it's kind of showing you when he was a kid and you can't follow the mom. All you can say is no. That's it. There's no other option. So then like there's different choices that he makes, and then finally like there comes a time when you have to end up following Colin to his house. It makes you go back and follow this trajectory. And so when you follow Colin to his place, you meet his girlfriend or partner, his girlfriend or partner, and then his daughter, Pearl, rather. And you get to see that, and he basically offers him this drug that has this lion head on it. It's like looks like a little, almost like a breath strip patch that you put on your tongue, and you can either say yes or no. If you say no, then he's like, okay, it's your choice, I won't force you. He gets up and puts it in his teacup, and like very, very, very like, underhanded. He obviously didn't see it, and he drinks it, and of course he has that, trippy experience. So it basically forces you to take that drug, whatever it is. And he's like, it will enlighten you and open your mind up to all this stuff. And okay. When I did it again, if you say yes, then it just jumps right to him, giving it to him and him putting it on his tongue. And that you can tell they filmed like these short things that still kind of steer you back to where it wants you to be. So like this episode says, like, your decisions are not really your own. You think you're in control, but you're really not. It's really crazy how they kind of make this metaphor not only for him but for you as the viewer, because it's talking about like your decisions are not your own. You're basically following the path that you're meant to take, and there's a greater person in the background like dictating that for you actually. And so it's kind of trippy how that works, because if you think about it, you're like, damn, that's actually true. That's fucked up. So anyway, eventually he creates this game. It gets pretty good success. Like there's a lot of different things, like whenever he's in. But I think for me, the climax is if you go to Colin's house, you go on this back balcony and you can choose. It gives you that choice that no one wants to make. It's either do you kill off the main character that you've been with since the beginning, or do you kill off Colin, this prodigy game creator that you've not really formed this connection with, and you don't have any other choice. It's either kill the main character or kill Colin. Make your decision. And I'm sitting here like, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do. So the first time, of course, I chose Colin, which apparently is what it wants you to do. I found out later, because I went back and chose the main character instead. Holy shit. So he basically offs himself, and he's talking about alternate timelines, and I'll see you again, and all this other stuff. It's wacky. I mean, so you basically go through all this stuff. You see them in jail, like you see all these different things where it shows you like him killing, if he had killed his father. There's an option where he's like trying to, he has this dream where he goes back in time and he remembers when he lost the rabbit and couldn't find it, and his mom passed away, and it gives you the option to try to find the rabbit. So you go down to the basement while your dad's asleep, and you are at this cabinet, and you have to enter in this code. If you enter in toy, it opens up the toy. If you which is in the top little thing. If you enter, I think it's PAC, yeah, PAC. So it talks about Pac-Man, and PAC, I did not know this, stands for Program and Control, which is what this thing, I guess what he's going through is, this program and control system. Hi, buddy. And so basically, if you choose PAC, it opens the bottom cabinet, and you find out that basically he's been studied, that he wasn't supposed to know about, and it has like all the tapes of his therapy sessions. It has like all these notes, all these like live photos and videos of him going from point A to point B, of him from a very young age as a boy to, you know, where he is now as like a young adult. So it has all these different things, and he confronts his dad about it. His dad's like, "Oh, you weren't supposed to know," and then tries to act like it never happened. It's so complex and so intricate, and so it can be confusing. It's so like it just morphs into this weird tangled web. Really, it does. It's so crazy. It's bizarre. But yeah, there's just so much to talk about with this. So there's a point when he's like loading the game to like test it out. His deadline's approached, and it comes up and it says he realizes that he's not in control of his destiny, because there's a choice that says either break the computer or pour tea on the computer again. And no matter which one you choose, he like is able to kind of stop himself, even though his arm has a force beyond his control. What are you doing? To try to do something. And he has this epiphany that, oh, it's not me doing this, someone else is controlling me. So he kind of confronts you as the audience. He doesn't look at the camera. He looks at his computer, and he's like, who are you? And you can either do this weird little symbol, or you can say Netflix, which is fucking crazy. Okay, let's just be real right here. So of course I picked the symbol first, and later it didn't really do anything. It just kind of ended the broadcast. You had to explain what Netflix was, and he's like, entertainment service. It's a streaming, you know, it's like TV, but like online and all this stuff. So you have to, if you pick Netflix, you have to kind of explain it. With the symbol, you don't really do much of anything. So it's like, it's really weird. But yeah, let's talk about other decisions for a second. So that moment in the kitchen where you can either, so if you, going back, if you don't yell at the dad, if you pour tea on the computer, it fries Bandersnatch, and you end up basically, like, the dad's like, you've just destroyed everything that you were working on. And so it kind of goes out, and then you see a picture on the screen of two TVs, and one says go back, and one says this alternate path that you could have taken earlier. So say you had followed Colin instead of talking to the doctor, and now you can go back and talk to the doctor. If you chose not to talk about your mom whenever you did see the therapist, now you can talk about your mom, and have, because it wants you to do these things. It wants you to. The show does. And so it's crazy. It's crazy. So you do all these things. There's a point, like I said, where you are in the kitchen with your dad, and you can either like tell him to back off, and you yourself can back off, or you can kill him. If you kill him, which is crazy, okay, he goes down, and then you have the choice here again to either bury the body or chop him up into pieces. If you chop him up into pieces, because I know this, you basically you are somehow at peace, and you complete your game, and it's 5 out of 5 stars, and you did so good. And then they find out that you, like, so you get Colin to come over and help you, and like it shows you like sawing up the body and stuff, and like there's this point where Colin realizes that you've killed your dad, and you can choose to either kill Colin or not. If you kill Colin, he like helps you. He hands you like this blunt object. It looks like a trophy, and tells you, don't use a knife, use this, and like just kill me this way. It's fine. You know, I'll take it. what the hell? So, I mean, you can bash his head in, and then you end up in jail, and you're sitting there and you're carving that weird symbol that it had you choose between it and Netflix on the little wall on the jail wall. And then, like, if you bury the body, which you can do, you still get found out that you killed your dad and all this stuff. And then, it goes through all this pack stuff. You see, all that stuff. And there's another therapy session that you have where you're sitting with the therapist. And so she's like, he tells her, he's like, I've realized that I'm not in control of my own fate, that there's someone, this person outside of all this who's controlling what we do. And she's like, well, that doesn't make sense. If you were wanting this for entertainment, wouldn't you want it to have more action? What are you doing? My dachshund is crazy. Come here. What are you doing, weirdo? I don't know what he's doing. It's fine. But anyway, so you can basically either you talk to her about it. She's like, well, if they're in control, wouldn't they want more entertainment? And basically it's either yes or fuck yeah. That's your options. So either way, the same thing happens. Actually, I've done both. It does not matter. The same thing happens. So you basically throw hot tea in her face and you sweep the desk off, and she gets these looks like police batons off the wall. And she's like, let's go. And you can either choose to fight her or you can jump through the window. Okay, so the first time I chose fight her. And so you're battling her and doing these kicks and stuff, and it's crazy. Now, if you choose to jump through the window, it pans out to this film crew. And they're like, hey, that wasn't scripted. So it's almost like you're watching Netflix. And the directors and producers and all these people, the cast and crew, and his dad's in a chair, reading a script, and you're seeing this set, and they're like, hey, that wasn't in the script, what's going on? And they call him by his real name, and he doesn't recognize it. He's like, no, my name is Stefan. And so the director's like, no, we need a medic, obviously, because you're not separating your real self outside of character to your character Stefan. It's bizarre. It's absolutely crazy. So you basically are forced to fight her. Essentially, you have to. It's insane. Like I said, if you try to kill Colin on the balcony, that's what it wants you to do. If you kill Stefan, the game is actually released early. It gets 2 out of 5 stars or something because they released it in a rush. It wasn't fully finished and all that stuff. And yet again, so each of these turns you take, depending on if you choose right or wrong, it takes you to those TVs and makes you choose a different thing. Now, depending on what you do at the end of the episode, you can choose to go and watch more, which I love. I love this, that it allows you to go back and choose these things. So, for example, if you kill yourself, okay, on the balcony, it goes in the future, and Colin's daughter, Pearl, is now this game creator, and she's found this disc in her dad's stuff of Bandersnatch, and they had taken Bandersnatch off the shelves because they found all the stuff where he had killed his dad and stuff, so they took it off the shelves because it was so controversial. And so now she wants to revive the game and redo it. So she's trying to do that, and it shows that she's basically doing it in our current day and age, pretty much. She's on the computer, she's doing it all, programming, she's coding the game itself, and they're interviewing her, and she's like, she's going to release it on Netflix. What? And so it shows her sitting there watching what we're watching. So she's sitting at her computer screen watching Stefan, wake up during the day and go through all this stuff, and then and then it glitches out, and you can choose to either break your computer or pour tea on the computer, and either way, it's so fucked up. It's so crazy. Like, what is this madness? So there's just so much stuff going on in this episode, Bandersnatch. Like, no matter what you do, no matter what path you choose, whenever you get to the end, you can choose other things. I highly encourage you. I went back and I chose like all these crazy other alternate options that I would never in real life do, like kill the dad. I was like this crazy person. Oh, I chose a different record. Like, there's a scene where he is in the record store and he has to choose the different which record. Like, one's the Bermuda Triangle and one is like, I think it's like Phaedra or something. I forget the name. I chose the other record. Like, first I chose Phaedra because it's gorgeous. It looks like something I would buy. The second time I chose the Bermuda Triangle. Both of them look pretty badass, I have to admit. So, like, Bermuda Triangle reminded me of like Dark Side of the Moon, and I love Dark Side of the Moon. So it's like, okay, which one here? But yeah, holy hell, so at the end of the day, this episode really is about this idea that we are not in control of our own decisions necessarily, especially in that, like, so many other factors are kind of choosing for us, and like we went into this episode from the beginning thinking that we had the control over what he ate for breakfast, what music he listened to on the way to, to work on his game or to go see the therapist. We had control over all these little nuances, but in reality, at the end of the day, it was, kind of guiding us to that same path, picking for us, and these different domino effects. So it really does kind of also make you think of like your own choices, because I'm sitting here terrified to choose between A or B. But I mean, we really do that every day. Like, what would happen, for example, if you chose to talk to this person and make their day better? What would happen if you chose to do something that is not such a good idea? What if you have an opportunity to tell someone something really important, like, something like there's this perfect opportunity to tell them a truth, or something like the stage is perfect, but that voice in the back of your head's like, no, better not, for whatever reason. What if you did? What if you didn't? What path would that take you on? So, really, it's interesting, because, unlike this episode, we can't go back and see what it would be like had we chosen this other decision. So, I don't know. It's interesting. I would love to know what decisions y'all made. Did you choose Frosted Flakes? Did you choose Sugar Puffs? Did you choose Bermuda Triangle? Did you choose like Now 2? Did you choose like to kill the dad? Did you choose to back away? Did you choose to chop up the body and bury the body? Did you choose like I did? I chose Colin over Stefan. What did you choose? I think most of us would probably choose Colin, just that same line of thinking. But really, what kind of a choice is that? Like, essentially, we ourselves are killing someone in this show. So, I mean, it's almost like it reminds me of like so we're George R. R. Martin, and we can control who dies in Game of Thrones, or it reminds me of this anime, Recreators. We're basically, we're controlling these worlds, and they're kind of holding us accountable in a way. Like, we have to be accountable for our own choices and actions. So, like, how nerve-wracking is that? So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a very interesting kind of concept. It's kind of freaky to have that kind of control and at the same time not really be in control. It's like this weird kind of rabbit hole that you can really go down for a long extended period of time, I'm sure. So, what do you think? What did you think? Did you like it? Do you think it's crazy like I do? I mean, Black Mirror always has those things, so I guess, what can I say? I mean, it's what you would come to expect from Black Mirror. So, I'm intrigued to see more. I hope they have more with, like, Season 5. I can't wait. And yeah, so let me know in the comments what you thought, what choices you made. If you did you do what I did and go back and make all those other decisions instead? Choose all those alternate options. Like what did you choose? Like there's this one option with his mom where you can actually go with her on the train. So you're like with her when it derails. You can choose to not go with her again. Like it gives you all these crazy choices. So I would love to know what you choose. Like what did you think of how this kind of morphed and evolved and all these crazy choices? What did you think? Like what did you bring from this? So let me know. Bandersnatch. Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of interesting to actually play that game. And I guess in a way we did with this episode, right? So anyway, love you guys. Hope you're doing good. Hope you had a happy holiday. New Year's is coming up, so happy New Year. I'll be here next year too. Yay! But yeah, I'll see you guys. Thank you again. Subscribe, like. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/thenerdettes. So thank you, and I'll see you later. Bye. 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 Bye.